Around this time every year, before the dawn of a new season, optimism runs high with teams all across the league, and the NFL media and the general consensus of fans seem to love to hype up certain teams. This year, the special seems to be Baker in Cleveland, as Cleveland's stunning turnaround from mediocrity into a suddenly Super Bowl contending team. And on the NFC side, there seems to be optimism in the Golden City of San Francisco, led by Jimmy G, coming off a torn ACL, and what looks to be one of the strongest defensive units in the game. But there's a team in the NFL right now that nobody is putting any respect on, that nobody's talking about, and seemingly is flying under everybody's radar for whatever reason, and that team is the Detroit Lions. Yes, I said it. The team from the Motor City, the Lions. And now before you laugh and joke about this or that, or the mediocrity the last couple of seasons, or anything you can throw out there, let me explain to you why I firmly believe, despite playing in an extremely tough division, with the suddenly upshot Bears led by the best defense in football, and a sneaky good offense led by Matt Nagy, or whether it be the Vikings, who have the best receiving duo in the league in the steady arm of Kirk Cousins, and not to mention the Packers, who have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers. And despite anything that happens to that team, Aaron Rodgers is a great equalizer in this league, and having a quarterback that good, no matter how bad your team is, can always put the Packers in a situation to be in contention come December. But the reason I firmly believe in the Detroit Lions this season is they made a lot of great underrated moves, adding to an already deeply underrated roster of talent. And you have a second-year head coach in Matt Patricia, whose first year obviously did not go as planned. But there's still a lot to like, and a lot comes with the growth of a head coach from the first to second year, along with the firing of Jim Bob Cooter, whose sometimes too predictable play calling and his non-stop insistence on passing the ball left the Lions in a bad situation offensively, in which they became fairly too predictable in the grand scheme of things. And with adding talent on that defense, the Lions are in a great position to sneak up on some teams and make them realize now this Lions team is not the same pushover that people seem to believe they are. It all starts on offense with Matthew Stafford. And say what you want about Matthew Stafford, but I firmly believe Matthew Stafford is still a good quarterback in this league. While Stafford these last couple of seasons has taken a step back from where he usually is in terms of production, Matthew Stafford is still a phenomenal quarterback in this league. He's accurate with the football, he limits turnovers, and he does everything that you want from a quarterback. The Lions also finally, for the first time in what seems like millennia, they finally have a strong fundamental running game to set the pass upon. And that's been a huge issue with the Detroit Lions the last couple of seasons. When you don't have a strong running game, your passing game takes a step back just because you become far too predictable. But adding now, you have 2018 draft pick Kerryon Johnson, and before he was injured and finally got the chance to prove what he could do, Kerryon Johnson quietly was putting up very solid numbers in the Lions offense, something we hadn't seen in years from a Lions running back. It was their first 100-yard rusher in a game since, I believe, 2013. And if you just sit back and think about that, since 2013, the last Lions running back before Kerryon to go over 100 yards was Reggie Bush. Now, having Kerryon Johnson finally being able to stabilize the offense is a good thing. It creates more opportunities for Stafford to push the ball down the field, since you have to be aware of the running game. They also added the resurgence of C.J. Anderson, who finally was able to revive his career down the stretch with the Los Angeles Rams. As down the stretch in the Rams season, C.J. Anderson went off for the tone of 43 carries and 299 yards. That's 7 yards a carry for C.J. Anderson. And obviously those numbers are not going to be replicated this season, but it's nice to have a nice two-headed monster at your running back position so you don't have to lean on one guy to shoulder the load the entire game. And on top of that, the Lions also quietly have an extremely solid receiving core with Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. And these two guys always fly under the radar because they're not super flashy. They're not super cocky like an Odell Beckham or a Jarvis Landry. They do their job. They make the plays happen. And you don't hear them run their mouths. Or you don't see them do this and that. And that's kind of the issue with the league now. These guys who are solid receivers fly right under the radar when they're not super big names and they're not super flashy with their drama and this and that. But these two guys go into their job each and every day. They work hard, and they're solid receivers for Matthew Stafford to throw the ball to. And finally, now they added my favorite draft prospect out of this entire draft process, T.J. Hawkinson, who provides Matthew Stafford as not only a safety blanket, but T.J. Hawkinson has enough speed as he's extremely athletically gifted to stretch the field, whether it be up the seams or this and that. He also is an incredible inline blocker, which just creates even more opportunities for Hawkinson to be on the field. This Detroit Lions offense is incredibly underrated coming into this season because they weren't good last year. They took a step back as a whole last year, but we no longer have Jim Bob Cooter running the show on offense. On the note of the firing of Jim Bob Cooter, they hired ex-Seahawks offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell, who is best known for running the football. And that's why Lions fans should be optimistic about their offense. It's been proven time and time again, running the football in this league is the key to success. And now having two physical workhorse backs that can shoulder the load, the Lions now have all the tools to be successful on offense and be able to shock the league. It only gets better when we turn to defense. While the defense is no Bears or, Bills or Ravens, the Lions have quietly built a very strong defense this offseason. And I'm not really sure why it's not being talked about enough. While the Lions did lose the heart, the soul, and the Iron Man of their defense and Glover Quinn, they went out and made a bunch of extremely solid upside moves that I believe will help turn this Lions defense around. First and foremost, they went out and signed Trey Flowers. And Trey Flowers was just unbelievable last season with the New England Patriots. Well, the numbers weren't eye-popping, only 7.5 sacks. He applied constant pressure to the quarterback, something the Lions were severely lacking for a majority of the 2018 season. The Lions also went out and signed Mike Daniels, and Mike Daniels long has been an extremely solid player in this league, adding to an already dynamic pass rush of Alshon Robinson and Damon Snacks Harrison, who is the very best run defender in the league today. The Lions also employed one of the most underrated players in the game in Romeo Okwara, who very quietly last season again had 7.5 sacks. The Lions have a lot of under-the-radar guys that don't get a lot of recognition they truly deserve. So the Lions front four is quite honestly one of the best in the game today. They have run stuffers. They have big, beefy bodies. They have explosive pass rushers off the edge to harass quarterbacks time and time again. There is a bit of pause for concern with the linebacker unit, as there is a bit of a lull in talent in that area, but they do have Gerard Davis, second round pick, Javani Tlaib. So there is still some upside there. Both guys are younger, obviously Tlaib being a rookie, and I believe Davis is coming into his third season in the NFL and plays the linebacker position pretty solidly. So that's probably the only weak spot left in the Lions, is to address the linebacker position that they so dearly need. Heading to the back half of the Lions secondary, there's a lot of mystery going on back there. They have one of my favorite corners and a very underrated guy in Darius Slay holding down one side of the field. They have slot corner Justin Coleman, who finally was able to break out in Seattle and shows he can play the position rather solidly when given the chance to. In the back half of the secondary, you have Quandre Diggs and Stacey Walker, who are both middle-of-the-road safeties. It's going to be extremely hard to replicate or be able to replace what was left by Glover Quinn. But both Quandre Diggs is a very solid safety in the back half of the field, and Tracy Walker offers immense upside, as this will be his first year really getting to immerse himself in the playbook and finally being the unquestioned starter at free safety, as the aforementioned Glover Quinn is no longer here. But even with Glover Quinn here the previous season, Tracy Walker worked his butt off to get playing time. And that should give Lions fans a lot of hope for the back half of the secondary. And obviously, while the Lions still play in the league's toughest division, that was won by the suddenly good Bears, again led by that dynamic defense. You have Minnesota led by a potent offense that beefed up their line, and a strong defense coached by Mike Zimmer. And of course, you have the Packers under rookie head coach Matt LaFleur, paired with the dynamic arm of Aaron Rodgers. The Lions are still in for an uphill battle, but the Lions quietly have built a team that is due to succeed this season, built on a fundamental strong running game, a strong quarterback, and a defense that will be harassing quarterbacks the entire season. So don't be surprised come December and you look up and the Detroit Lions are your 2019 NFC North champions. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Comment below the team you want to hear next about. And as always, guys, peace out.